This is a 2026 Toyota RAV4. Now, this car isn't available here in the UK yet. This is a left-hand drive pre-production model, but I wanted to show you around it and show some comparisons to the previous generation, because like it or not, the RAV4 is one of the most popular cars in the world, thanks to its fantastic, efficient hybrid drivetrain and its kind of rugged personality. It's a great traditional family SUV. But with competition hotting up from the likes of Kia and Hyundai and other manufacturers like that, is this still worth the kind of 40 to 50 grand price that they're expected to go on sale for? Also, this now is only available in the UK at launch with a plug-in hybrid as opposed to the full self-charging hybrid. But one thing I've learned about Toyota is they know how to do self-charging hybrid, and the plug-in version still, when it runs out of charge completely, will be no issue at all, because in the last model that I reviewed a few weeks back, I was still achieving over 50 mpg in most situations with the battery fully depleted, and I think that this is likely to be the same, if not better. Toyota have also increased the battery size, so now this is a little bit more competitive. It will do over 65 miles on a charge on full electric, which is up there with the most recent stuff from Volkswagen Audi Group as well. Now, of course, being an early car, I can't get this one out on the road today, but I'll have a full review of this coming for you when it comes out later this spring. But for today, I just wanted to walk around it, show you all of the new features, all of the quirks, and the new styling as well. This is also a base model car, so it's not got all the bells and whistles that you might expect from one of the top end ones. We're going to really look into the detail of what makes the base RAV4 a RAV4. You might notice as well, I've got off to the side out of shot there the original Mark 1 RAV4 to compare to, and I'll be dropping in plenty of shots of the previous RAV4 which I reviewed last week, and please go and check out that review if you're interested in comparison. But I think personally, so far, just looking at it broadly, the styling is a big upgrade. Of course, this one being all blacked out, it doesn't show off those lines quite as well as you might think, but we do have some good studio lighting here today to go over it, and of course the interior is a big improvement in terms of tech as well, but some physical controls have gone missing. But I'll let you be the judge. Let's take a full tour of the car and I'll see what you think. But before we do that, if you're looking to sell your current car, please click my CarWow affiliate link in the description below, because all you've got to do is whack your reg in and dealers will bid on your car. You get an instant valuation, and if you're happy with the closing price, then they will come and collect it from your house and deposit the cash straight in your bank. Nice and easy. And likewise, if you're looking for a new car, then please also check out Players Cars Premium, my affiliate dealership, in the description below, because what we can do is make car buying super easy for you. That means no messing around via email. We'll contact you 24/7 via WhatsApp, and also we'll be able to find the car that you want, whether that be a Tesla or otherwise. So what are you waiting for? If you're looking to buy or sell, links below. So as I mentioned before, we don't really have UK pricing yet, but at the moment they kind of range between 40 and 50,000 pounds roughly, and I expect it will be kind of similar here. Only the plug-in hybrid is going to be available though in the UK, which means that they're dropping the self-charging hybrid. Even if you can't charge at home, I wouldn't worry too much, because I still think it's going to be pretty good when it comes to that self-charging capability when the battery has run out of juice. So there are two options available. You get a front-wheel drive only version, which is around 264 horsepower, or an all-wheel drive plug-in version with around 300 horsepower. So that one is a bit more brisk, 0 to 60 in around 5.8 seconds. And if the last one is anything to go by, the front wheel drive will be pretty sufficient, but can be a bit skittish out of junctions in the wet and that kind of thing, as expected for a car of that power figure. Plus, obviously, if you're going to be doing any off-roading at all, you'll definitely want the all-wheel drive version. Typically though, only the entry-level trims are front wheel drive only, and the top-end ones, such as the GR Sport, for example, will have all-wheel drive as standard. But it does make it nice and easy to choose your RAV4, and there are a few trim levels to choose from, of course subject to change because the UK spec hasn't been completely confirmed yet. But this entry-level Icon version comes with 18-inch alloys, 12.3-inch multimedia screen, powered tailgate, and also blind spot monitoring as standard. Step up to the design model, and that normally comes with some extra paint options, including like the bi-tone, so you get the kind of more rugged look, wireless phone charging, heated steering wheel and ventilated front seats, with also an upgraded driver display. And then the top trims are going to be the XL and the GR Sport. The XL is kind of your more luxury trim, so 20-inch alloys with leather seats, power adjustable and all that good stuff. JBL premium sound, also has fast charging capability up to 50 kilowatts, head-up display, and an additional traditional wireless phone charger with heating and ventilation for the front seat. And the GR Sport effectively is the same sort of thing, but with more kind of sporty aesthetics. So you get a more sporty exterior with a different front bumper, more aggressive styling, and kind of your best and more sporty wheels, that kind of thing. I've been told that that top spec GR Sport will also have the panoramic view monitor, so that's like the 360 top-down cam. It's worth noting that those two top-end models are all-wheel drive only, which is always nice. But yep, all subject to change, of course, and this one is the sort of bottom spec. It's the entry-level car, so we can really see kind of everything in its base form without all the bells and whistles here. So then let's take a look around the new RAV4. Now this one, obviously being all blacked out, you can't see all of the design cues, and obviously this is the base model, so you're not going to get the kind of the two-tone designs and also the more sporty bumpers of the higher end cars. Personally, my pick is obviously the GR Sport. I think that is the most kind of aggressive looking. I think it looks great in the press colours that I've seen, like the reds, the metallic red and that kind of thing. I think it's a great looking car. This one definitely looks a little bit more rugged, and there are some more rugged looking trims if that is more your thing. What I do think is that they have refined this front end to make it look a lot more like their electric cars. They're kind of going for this with the lower down grills rather than that big open mouth grill that you see on the previous RAV. These lights are quite sharp as well, obviously all LED. They definitely make a nice impact, and obviously on this black car do stand out quite a bit as well. And then you've got on this one fogs down the bottom, a nice kind of rugged looking bottom end, and then this kind of grill, slatted grill here, which on the sportier trims, this has like the GR Sport grill, which is a bit larger and a bit more contrasting. But this one still, it's got those quite kind of bold lines down it. You can see along the side here, this crease that runs down the side of the car, and even on these arches and this area here, which is your charge flap. If I press this, you'll be able to see this opens up to reveal your charge port, which is nice and simple, but it's the way it kind of integrates into this archway. It just makes it really interesting to look at. And then these big chunky tyres on this one with the 18-inch alloys, obviously a less sporty trim, but more geared towards comfort and practicality. And these tyres definitely look the part as well, these Dunlops that are fitted from factory. And again, I kind of like what they've done here. It reminds me a little bit of the Kia Sportage actually, and the way they do things. But what I think is the best improvement on this car is at the back. It's got the new RAV4 logo, like the emblem, and this looks quite a bit like the Camry one in my opinion. Like it's gone for that kind of consistency across the range, and these tail lights are a huge improvement over the previous generation. The previous ones had like a standard halogen looking light. This is much more up to date, isn't it? This looks the part now. It's quite a flat, boxy rear end, as you would expect. And obviously this has kind of been the practical shape for this for quite some time now, but you still get that kind of rear haunch at the back, this big kind of muscly area here, which makes it look a little bit more bold at the rear. And this one obviously being your bottom end trim, there's nothing too fancy about it, no like extra diffuser or anything like that. The GR Sport one has like quite a big rear spoiler, which is quite impressive. But I just think this new modern font typeface and these new lights really, really refresh the back of the car quite a bit and make it look a lot better, a lot more modern. I think they've done a great job with that. They've kind of made some tech upgrades and some minor adjustments, but kind of kept that RAV4 formula. Obviously, there's a reason these are so popular, so I think a lot of consumers are going to be happy that they haven't changed too much and gone too overboard with this redesign, especially where a lot of cars now are just, you know, a screen inside the car and that's kind of it, and the outside is more smooth and plain. I'd love to know what you think about the styling. Please do let me know in the comments below. I was a bit on the fence about it when I first heard about this redesign because I quite liked the previous generation, but now seeing it in person with this new front end without that massive grille, I actually do think this looks a lot more modern, a little bit more friendly maybe at the front, but aggressive in the GR Sport trim, but still rugged enough to be definitely a RAV4. And speaking of RAV4, let's take a quick pan over to this original one here. So this is almost 30 years ago now, and this is the smallest example because this is the 3-door, which is quite a rare beast now. This is a Mark 1 RAV4, full-time 4x4, and a nice rugged rear bumper there. So, I mean, not a lot of design cues carried over from that, but what is interesting is that they still go for this kind of two-tone body effect, the more rugged look down the bottom. That's something they've been doing since the Mark 1. This one made to be a true little off-road machine as well, and they're still capable in that same way. But it's quite interesting to see, isn't it, how far the vehicle has come in 30 years. See, I wouldn't let plug-in only put you off necessarily because it's going to feel very good even when it runs out of charge, unlike some rivals. Also, if you want something a little bit bit more futuristic, more tech, then a Hyundai or Kia would go a little bit further. This is going to have a better warranty, but they only extend it from 3 years to 10 years if you keep going every year to Toyota for a service. So that's something to bear in mind, whereas with like Kias and Hyundais, you either get 8 or 10 years as standard anyway, depending on what you go for. So as we step inside, this does have the keyless entry. You've got the button on the door there, which it will beep at me because the key's inside. And this is relatively unchanged from the previous car, but this does feel a little bit more solid than the previous one. What is nice about the RAV4 cars though is everything is a little bit kind of more rugged and utilitarian in a way. It's got that kind of more purposeful build to it. Everything's quite chunky and solid and a little bit old school, and you can tell that from this door card. So we've got very similar materials to the previous car, but some redesigned handles. One thing I praised the previous car for was just how chunky and rugged everything felt, and this is no exception. You've got a big, massive kind of grippy holder here. Unfortunately not rubberized internally like the previous one, but it's still really substantial to hold on to, and the door feels heavy and weighty. We've got a large storage area down here, as well as a cup holder or a bottle holder, and some purposeful switches and switch gear for your mirrors, controls, and all that kind of thing, and a physical lock still, even in 2026, which some people really do appreciate, rather than having to mess around trying to find it in the cabin or go through the screen. And as we step into the car, you can see on this entry-level car, we do actually still have some power controls for the seat and some adjustable lumbar on the driver's side at least, and this cool little scuff plate here, which yeah, it's got the new sort of RAV4 font and logo on it, and that's also visible on this mat in here, this carpet. And then as we step in, you can see overall the cabin has been upgraded and changed slightly. We've got some lack of physical climate controls, but I'll go on to that. But everything still has a lot of controls behind it, which is a good start. So let's jump in. So let me press the power button there to fire the car up, and you'll see a little bit about what's going on. Now this is a pre-production vehicle. Obviously it's left-hand drive. I believe it's a German car. It does appear everything is in German. Yep, definitely German. Let's just change this into English just so that you can actually read what's going on in this car. This screen in the middle has been changed quite a bit, which is for the better, and this has also had some upgrades as well, but it is still one of the least configurable on the market, but it does still show you everything you will need to know. What is nice is you've still got this kind of rugged feel to it in here. It still feels kind of very purposeful and not at all glitz and glamour, which some people will really appreciate. The steering wheel has been changed and upgraded a little bit, and you've still got loads of physical controls. So you've got controls here that go through this screen, so I can basically change everything that's displayed on here. There's 3 different bits to choose from, so lots and lots of ways you can configure these. I can go over to the middle. You can have a full map display if you want to, so a little bit like the Volkswagen Audi group stuff. You can also just have your driver assistance information, you have your power meters, just your standard view there, or sort of a more analog view. And this one is the dual analog view, which is one of my preferred ones. It's a little bit fussy, but it means that you get to see lots of information, and you can also customize both sides of this screen with lots of different information, so you can cycle through that. So yeah, it's not quite as configurable as others, and it's not quite as pretty as others, but it's definitely an upgrade over the previous system, as is this one in the middle here. This one now, although we have unfortunately lost some of the climate controls, there were physical climate controls in the center area on the previous model, and that has gone. So there's still buttons here for temperature up and down on both sides, and also front and rear defrost, and a volume wheel as well with a power button. It's not perfect, it's not the same without the physical climate controls, but for me, climate controls normally are fairly set and forget. Still got some basic information on here about your charge schedule and that kind of thing, bits about the camera and display, and then also just your settings to do with like your devices and all that kind of thing. So it is still fairly basic, right? They're still not quite up there with your like Kias and Hyundais when it comes to gadgets and gizmos and gimmicks, but this is definitely an improvement on the previous version, and there is still quick controls here as well. So you can still see there is controls for like your heated seats and steering wheel, and also like your auto climate and all that kind of thing. They are quite small though along that bottom there, so I can imagine if you're driving trying to reach over, can be potentially a little bit difficult to hit those, but it's definitely not the worst I've seen. This screen is quite reflective, but bear in mind I do have a studio light behind me as well, so it's kind of picking up on some of that, so it's not going to be quite this bad in real world conditions, so don't let that put you off. It's fairly clear and bright and that kind of thing, and there is some kind of shortcuts at the top here as well. So this is like to do your brightness, and you've also got things like your ADAS controls. There's a button there to record if there's dash cam installed, shortcut to CarPlay, that kind of thing. What is nice is there is a shortcut to turn off your speed limit warnings. Right there is literally one touch, which, yes, it's not a physical button, but I like that it's there and not buried in a menu. That is a big plus for Toyota. Again, nice rugged looking vents and stuff. Hazard switch. It's not clicky and lovely like it was in the previous car, unfortunately, but it gets the job done. What is cool though, you've got these kind of satellite buttons here. So you've got your EV mode. So this one will hold it in full electric mode, or allow it to stay in hybrid modes to preserve some of the battery. And you've also got your drive mode select there as well. So you've got, in this particular one, normal, eco, sport and custom. And you can see it changing on the displays here as we cycle through those. So you can customize that quite a bit. And it's got this nice little graphic that plays when you do so, and that firms up the car a little bit and that kind of thing. And then we've also got the traction control button over here, which is one big button, and that takes you straight to the shortcut for the driver assistance features. There's a few different modes which will be useful for the LSD and for off-roading and things like that. In this one, you've got 2 spaces for your phone, but no wireless charging. Some models have wireless charging only on the driver's side. Some models have it on both. I think that's a little bit lazy though. I think they should have it on both on all models. Obviously on the entry-level car, fair enough, it's not there, but on all the other models I think they should have done that. It seems a little bit of a miss to me. But what is nice is there's a 15-watt USB-C charger on both sides there, and quite a deep storage area underneath that, so you've got 2 trays, which is cool. And then down here you've got a drive select, which unfortunately the big chunky purposeful lever is gone, but I understand a lot of people prefer these toggles. Really nice and simple. Down for drive or sport, up for reverse, P for park, job done. And then you've got your auto hold and your parking brake here, which are unfortunately a slightly nasty kind of scratchy plastic, like a glossy plastic, but it is what it is, right? In here though, you've got some nice purposeful cup holders. Everything is kind of like a sort of a fairly scratchy plastic material, but feels rugged. And then up here you've got some more squishy materials on the dash, as well as a storage tray there. And then of course you've got a glove box on this side as well, which opens via a latch there. Quite a small glove box for what it is, but still a purposeful space. This is quite interesting because this center console area is double hinged, so you can open it from either side or take it out entirely, which is a bit bizarre. And also for some reason there is an LED light that comes on to say that it's open. I don't know why that's there. I don't know what that's useful for at all. In fact, it's not a light, it's actually just a little, it's like, you know when your vacuum cleaner gets full, it's like a little mechanical thing. Yeah, don't really know why that exists, to be honest with you. But it is a deep space. You can't really see in there because of the light, so I do apologise. But in there you've got a power socket, and you've also got a USB-C as well. So nice deep storage area. So overall, they have made some kind of improvements to the tech in here. There's also the paddles behind the wheels, which I don't find too useful because even in the CVT cars they get these, and what they do is simulate gears. And I think it feels very bizarre, to be honest. I don't think it's really worth using them at all. And I think it's a bit of a waste that they're there. But, you know, it's nice that they exist and they are quite nice to use. And of course, all of the physical controls, such as your indicators, your turn signals, all feels really nice and rugged, the Toyota quality you've come to expect. Everything that's happened on this screen, though, is a welcome addition. I just don't think it's quite up there with the other rival cars. But if you want something more simple, which is kind of what this car is going for, then this is probably still going to be quite nice and a good upgrade from the previous model. Up top here, you can see out the back there, in terms of kind of the visibility, there's a nice little window there, so the pillar is not too disastrous. Ignore the light in the back window, but yeah, quite a large back window. These lights here are quite strange though, aren't they? They're tiny little LEDs. They're quite powerful, to be fair. You can see it lighting up my hand, but yeah, that is your kind of reading light. It's a tiny little LED, and then you've got a little sunglasses holder up here. The thing that you've got to consider is that a lot of cars have abolished physical controls completely and have put everything in the screen. So actually this is a fairly reasonable compromise, I think. And if you're looking at something more futuristic or a full EV, you're probably going to be looking at something that's a little bit different to this, maybe something like a Tesla, for example, which in this price point I think would be the EV to go for. And then as we head into the back, it's pretty much the same, pretty much what you'd expect. Very similar back door layout there, so you can see your physical switches on the back, and you've also got a kind of a deep well there for a bottle, and I guess you could probably bung some storage stuff in the little handle there. But it's fairly basic back here, but this obviously being the entry-level car. The transmission hump isn't too bad. It's relatively flat, so it's got like a nice little curvature to it, and it's probably not going to be too difficult in comparison to some other cars. And in the center there, you've got some rear ventilation and 2 USB-Cs with up to 15 watts of power delivery. Nothing too fancy though. It would be nice to see like a little storage drawer or something that you see on other cars. This one obviously having the cloth rather than the leather. It's got a nice rugged texture to it. And then as we pull this center area down, you can see we've got 2 cup holders in there as well. As for Isofix, they are the kind of squish between the seats type. So you can see they're kind of just in there. So I think the fact that they're quite protruding means that they're not going to be too far damaging for the seats, but I do in some ways prefer ones that have covers on, just because it means that you know it's not going to damage the chairs at all. But you know, still it's going to be quite useful having them stick out like that. It just means they're going to be really easy to load up, which is always a nice touch. And then it does have a 60-40 split as well, rather than 40-20-40. So stepping into the back of the new RAV4 then, it's pretty much what you would expect. It's effectively the same as the previous generation. Plenty of space for my legs. I've got this seat in front comfortable for myself. It's not in my driving position because this is the passenger seat in this car, but it is still comfortable in terms of knee room. There's a bit less thigh support than I would like, as you can see here in terms of the actual kind of angle of the seat, but that's to be expected. And honestly, I do have quite lanky legs, so your mileage may vary. What I do like though is you've got the pull down armrest, and of course you can get super comfortable with these seats as well. Headrest also plentiful, you know, the actual amount of headroom that you've got, loads and loads of space. I wouldn't have any issues at all. It does feel quite wide in here as well, but obviously due to the transmission tunnel in the middle, I wouldn't like to be an adult passenger in the center. It's going to feel a little bit cramped, but if you had some small kiddies back here, it would be absolutely fine. Overall, I would say it's pretty much the same experience as you got in the last car, although this is kind of maybe slightly less spacious because of the lack of sunroof. Feels a little bit more enclosed, but you know, on those higher end models you can get that pan roof as well. And yeah, it's going to be quite comfortable for a longer journey back here. So at the back here, power tail as standard, which is nice. Press the button at the back and it opens up. Seems to be a speed improvement on the previous car as well, which is a nice touch. As you can see in the back here, a pretty generous space, but nothing too crazy in terms of features. You've got your standard hooks at the back there, but again, some rivals are bringing out a little bit more flavor. You've got a sort of basic cigarette socket back here, but no plugs. You've got a little storage area in the side well there. And this is a nice flat load area to get in and out, and of course quite a large opening as well. I do like that rear taillight design. That is a big improvement on the previous car, and it's got one of these load covers which you can just spring load out and store underneath, which is always a nice thing to have. So let's see what this actually transforms into. What I can tell you is it's a large practical space. It's just a bit devoid of some extra special features, tie hooks and netting that you might see in some rival cars now. So load cover comes out nice and easily. You can obviously just pull it out and use it like that. Springs back, and then you just pull it out like that. So it's very, very straightforward. And if I lift up this area here, there is actually a little place to store it under the floor. So it literally just slots in there. Unfortunately though, in this one, this has a spare tire in it, and that means that you can't get this to store properly underneath the floor. But yeah, you can see there's that spot under there, the little divots to put that and store that under there. And we've got a little bit of space under here for storing the charging cables also. Another thing that is still a bit of a shame is that there is no way of putting the rear seats down without reaching in and pushing on those levers, which is easy to do. And it's a one-handed operation because the seat belts are on runners, so they don't snag, which is always nice. But this is something that was exactly the same in the last RAV4, and I would have liked to have seen an extra lever back here to at least put them down. But it is as easy as jumping in and going 1 push and 2 push, and there we are with one large space. So there we are, you can see actually a really generous size space there. If we come around this side as well, you'll be able to see nice and flat. It's flat all the way through thanks to these carpet flaps. I've opened the doors to get a bit more light in there because the heavy rear tint will actually kind of stop you from seeing much in here. But yeah, it's really nice and easy to use, and with the seat belts on these runners, it means that you can literally just come around here and lift this up with one hand, snap it back into place, and it works really well. Because yeah, it's sometimes a real bind with like the Kias and Hyundais having to mess around with levers on the side of the seats. But the downside is that obviously these don't have any adjustable recline, whereas in those other cars it does. But to be honest, it's a sacrifice I'm willing to take for the ease of use of this setup. So there are no major changes really at the back of the RAV. It's pretty much still just a large useful space with not too many excessive features. So there we have it then, the all-new RAV4 plug-in hybrid coming to the UK very soon in the spring. I'd like to say thanks to Toyota UK for inviting me down, and please do get subscribed because I'll have a full review with driving of the car when it hits UK roads officially. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It really helps. And please do check out my affiliate links in the description below if you're looking for a new car or want to sell yours. So until the next one, bye-bye.